Welcome to the official Windows 8 channel, and today we are, I would say this is a first part in a series on the task manager. I did a video explaining rapidly the task manager, where to get it in your Windows 8 computer, but this is more of a detailed look at the task manager and how it works and how it can help you in troubleshooting computer problems. Today we are starting our little series on the task manager, and we can put this video in the troubleshooting section of Windows 8 if you want, because it's a great little thing to go through. So where do you get the task manager? Always at the bottom left of your screen. You can go there in the bottom left corner, and if you right click, you will have the task manager available right there in the list. One other little feature is you can get it if you're in the desktop version app of your computer. You can go into the taskbar at the bottom and right click, and there you'll have task manager available. Or you can also go slide from right to left. You have a touch screen, or just go into the right corners and click the little search icon and start TASK for task manager. It's going to show up and you can click on it. The task manager is a desktop app, so with the dual nature of Windows 8 being halfway between a Windows 8 Metro look and a desktop old type Windows, old way of working in Windows. So basically the first we will look at is the processes. So at the top you see that you have little tabs: processes, performance, app history, startup, users, details, services. Today we're talking about processes, and we'll explain each of those tabs, and each will have a different video, so there's going to be more explanation on and details on it. So what do you see in your processes is interesting, because it tells you a little more about what the apps, how they use your processor, how they actually interact with your computer, how much memory they use. So to see that is that on the left side you'll have the app's name, and on the right side you will have the CPU, that how much CPU it's using in percentage, how much memory it's using, and the disk and network that they are using. So for example, you notice that you have something in your computer that's using a lot of bandwidth on your internet, and you just don't know what. Well, one thing you can do is check through the app here and check on network and see which one is actually using network as we speak. So when you have apps that use a network, you'll see that there's going to be a megabits per second usage here on the right column just below network here. So that's an example that what you can do here with the processes. Second of all, so each process in your computer uses a little bit of CPU power, that we can say. And sometimes your computer can become slow, and you're thinking, my computer is slow, or you're hearing your fan run all of the time, and you're saying, why is my computer just going at such a speed? Why is my fan always running? Why is everything slow? Well, first thing you should look at is the CPU usage of apps. So you'll go down and you'll have background processes and apps. Each have their own little process here. So basically what you have is, example, the task manager, it says has 1% or 0.8. Depending on what I'm doing, it will use a little bit of processing power. But you can look at the list, scroll down through the list, and look at what is using processing power. One of the first things, you look at the top. The top shows you the total CPU usage. So if you have 5 apps that use, or 5 programs, background processes that use 10% CPU each, well, the total at the top is going to be at 50%. So it can be a multiple apps running together that makes a lot of CPU usage, or it can be one app in particular that's just running wild and using a lot of processing power. So first things first, you want to know why your computer's slow. You want to know why the fan is running all the time. Look here, if your CPU at the top is very high, 40, 50, 60%, you know something's running and taking a lot of juice out of your processor. So go through the list and look at what process uses all that power, and from there you'll have information on maybe what you can do. One of the options that you can try out when you have that process running is right click on it and click the end task option, and that's gonna stop the app. So for example, if I run the end task, I right click and do end task on task manager, it closes my task manager. It gives you an idea of what it does. It closes down that little running background process and so on. So it's always really nice to go there and see what's running. If it's a new program that you might have installed and it's really going wild, then just look at it and, you know, think, okay, my new program I installed is using 50% CPU. Maybe I don't need it and I can uninstall it, or maybe I can stop it from running. So this gives you a general idea of what's really gobbling up all that CPU speed. Another reason why your computer might be slow is in the memory usage. You can see here my memory usage says 31%, which means that only a third of all the memory in my computer is being used. Basically, when you have less than 60% of your memory usage, you don't really see much of a difference in the computer usage. When you're getting more into the 70, 60, 70, 80% memory usage, you might start seeing a slowdown in your computer, and that is because as the computer memory runs out, the computer needs to actually use your hard drive to compensate. And to give you an idea, memory speed is probably 1,000 times faster than hard drive speed. And that means that you'll have much more speed when everything is running in memory than running on a hard drive. Once again, this is a cool little column here because each of your apps are written with how much memory they are using right now. My task manager is using 9.9 megabytes. The people app's running and is using almost 50 megabytes. Internet Explorer is using almost 100 megabytes, as you can see here. You got to compare it to your total memory in your machine. If you click on the memory, you'll have it by descending order. Same thing for the CPU. If you click on CPU, it's going to be the apps that use the most at the top will be there. If you click on memory, you'll have the apps that use the most memory on top, and it will gradually go down. Or you can change it in the little arrow here that says, well, you can have it upwards or downwards. Now, you got to compare that to the total memory of your computer. This laptop computer has 8 gigabytes of RAM. I'm using 31% of 8 gigabytes, which is basically not a lot. I'm using a little more than, what, not even 2 gigabytes. Yeah, a little more than 2 gigabytes, sorry, it's almost a third, so it's like 2.5 gigabytes. That's not a lot. I still have, you know, 5.5 gigabytes left in my memory, so I'm not scared of running out of, you know, memory because I'm using too many apps in a computer. And you can see it as you're running apps and programs. I'll run Firefox here, I'll run Google Chrome, for example, here. Go back to my task manager and you see that memory usage has gone up to 34%. Every running app, every computer program uses some part of RAM. So if you're getting a slow computer, look at your memory usage. Is it really close to 100%? If it is, one of the two things can happen here. You can either close down what uses the most memory, of course, in what services you know, because one of the problems here is that sometimes you don't know what it is and you just saying, well, what should I do? So for example here, if I wanted to get more memory, I can right click on the people, say end task, right click on Firefox, end task, right click the calendar, end task, right click on Internet Explorer and end task. And you see that my memory usage is going down now, I'm not 29%. So you can close all the programs and the apps that use a lot of memory that you're just not using. Be careful though, lots of background processes here, so some of the stuff there cannot be closed down. That you got to be really careful about it. And another slowdown, if you want, of your computer is in the disk department. If you're using a program that's you know, reading an example, a program that might read a video, an HD video from your hard drive, or a program that might be downloading something from the internet, will increase disk usage. Disk usage means that something's being written or read from the hard drive. It's normal for the hard drive to have little spikes. So if you're closing and opening apps, you might have a disk usage that goes temporarily up to 40-50% or more. That's okay, but you don't want it running all the time. You don't want to have 50% disk usage all the time. That will slow down general usage of your computer also, because lots of information is exchanged with your hard drive. So if your hard drive is working hard on reading or writing stuff, well, if you're asking it to load a program, it needs to interrupt, go load the program while it's still doing, so it's going to kind of go back and forth between your disk usage and between your program loading and whatever other task it's doing. So it's going to slow down. Your program is going to take 2, 3, 4 times more time to load up because there's too much activity. So here again, you can go and look at what is actually using your hard drive. My hard drive, as you see here, with this little 8 to 10% sometimes peaks, is nothing compared to some computers that might have 50, 60 or 70% usage, which is a lot. So once again, you have the possibility to check on the list on the left, what are the programs that are using my hard drive. You can shut them down. You can uninstall them if you can, if you know what it is. Be careful, uninstall only stuff you know what. You know, if you uninstall something you don't know what it is, you might actually remove a feature of your computer and it's going to go bad. Last, maybe you're saying, how come my network is so slow? I don't understand that. Network is going really slow, I just don't know why. you've called your internet provider, you've looked at everything around you. Is there anyone else plugged into my Wi-Fi or my router? Is another computer in the home actually using internet? You've done that, you say, no, I'm the only one. And I still don't know why it's slow. It shouldn't be slow. One thing you can check here is your network usage. Network usage tells you how much information is being exchanged between your computer and your network. And when I say network, it doesn't mean only internet. A network can be between your computer and another computer inside your home through a router. But it can also mean the internet. So if you are using a lot of your network, if this number there is at 50, 60, 70%, and even if it's slower, because you gotta be careful at one little detail about the network here, that's normal. That explains why your network's so slow. Once again, click on the network at the top, look at the list. What's using your network? If you're seeing a program using your network, and it's an interesting way also of noticing that your computer might be sending out something through the internet and you don't know what it is. It's going to show up here as a task, and that can be interesting to know. Maybe a virus of some sort. You'll never know. So if your computer is part of a botnet, for example, a botnet being a bunch of computers plugged in together that are just sending out all sorts of details. So all sorts of information, maybe attacking a website. So everything will show up there in the network usage. Now, one little detail about network usage, it's even if your internet connection can be maxed out, and this can be at only 10%. Let me explain why. The network usage here is based on the speed of the connection between your computer and your router. I have, for example, here 130 megabyte connection, Wi-Fi connection. My internet connection is at 60 megabits. I can typically max out my 60 megabits connection while my network will be at 20 or 30% because it's not the same scale. So if network says 10%, don't say, well, no, it can't be my computer, it's only 10%. Example, you've got a plugged in desktop computer. Most desktop cards today can talk to the network at 1000 megabits. It's a gigabit card. Well, most internet connections are at 5 or 10 megabits. Your card's at 1000 megabits. You can see there that if you're using only 1% of your network, 1% of 1000 megabits is 10 megabits. If your internet connection is at 10 megabits, you're maxing out your connection, even though network says 1% usage. That's difficult to understand, but it's all done in the way that the speed of the connections of the different cards between your router, your computer, and the speed of your internet. So this was the first little video in the Task Manager Explained. Today we talked about processes. One last thing about them. When you look at processes, if you see something that's using a lot of CPU, memory, whatever, always look at the process or the app. You see these little arrows on the left side. If you click on the arrow, you'll see that that host, that service here, has many dependencies, so many little things going through. So you might want to check that if you've got an app running. Log me in, for example, here. It's going to tell you all the things running through it. So for example, Google Chrome, says here Google Chrome. And if you've got multiple tabs, you're probably going to see multiple tabs, one under each other, and have the detailed account of how much information they are using, if so. So keep in mind that there's always a little something on these little arrows telling you all that the computer is using right now. Hope it wasn't too hard on the explanation. If you've got questions about this video on the processes in the task manager, you know, I'm not going to go into details of each process and what it is, but gives you a general idea. You can always send away questions and comments. If you have got that new Windows 8 machine, you're a little lost, well, you know, click the subscribe button. It's going to be it's a great way to learn more about your Windows 8 machine, Windows 8 computer here. And hey, if you have a request that you'd like to fulfill, maybe you've got that new Windows 8 computer, want to learn more, just subscribe to our channel and look at all the videos we have. Lots of videos talking about, you know, everything. So thanks for watching, and hope you come back to the official Windows 8 channel. Bye bye.